Hi, everyone. This is just a closing reflection. And on one hand, you don't even have to watch it, I suppose, because final papers are all in. As you know, grades are posted, narrative evaluations are written and submitted. So you don't even have to watch this if you don't like. But I thought I would offer a few comments just to wrap things up for us for this semester. Um, I I want to thank all of you again for all of your participation in the class and for your willingness to be flexible and creative while I was traveling out of the country, etc., and giving you updates from the streets in Mexico City. So thanks for your openness to that and willingness to play along. Um, and speaking of playing along, thanks for all of the interaction that you had with each other. And I think for the most part, those interactions were really very good. A couple tens of moments there, but I think by and large it was a good set of conversations. A little more challenging sometimes online than face to face because there are things and nuances that are often missed. But I think by and large it went very well. In fact, if some of you may be on campus for the January intensive, and I'll hang around for a couple days, and I'd like to meet a couple of you that I haven't met yet. That'd be great if you're going to be around. I'm leaving the country on the 5th of January. I'm on sabbatical this next term, and we'll spend the next couple months in Mexico, and then a little later on England, and then Portland, Oregon. So a lot of movement around in these next several months. But hope to see a few of you at the beginning, at least the first few days of the January intensive. A couple things to mention. I just want to encourage you to continue to develop. I don't know how we can develop this in one sense. But it's something I like to call theological curiosity. Maybe more than developing it, it's allowing it to grow. Allowing it to grow. I suppose we can feed curiosity or we could squash it, but in the ways that we can allow it to express itself, I want to encourage you to do that, to let curiosity overtake you, and to pursue the questions and the wonderings that you have about faith. That's probably one of the best and most important pieces of theological reflection, from my point of view, is just theological curiosity. The second thing, and I've mentioned this on a number of papers along the way and evaluations, etc., is to continue pushing analysis. Continue pushing analysis. Most of us at this stage of the game are pretty good at descriptive enterprises, saying what something is, or being fairly clear in our observation of things. Analysis is the next step then. What do we do with that? How do we begin asking critical questions? How do we, in a language that's often used today, interrogate those experiences, those authors that we're looking at, our own understandings? How are we in critical analytical engagement with those? That's an important piece of the equation in theological work. And also keep in mind, theology is a conversation. It's a conversation with other theological thinkers, clearly, people like we encountered this semester, Mark Heim, Elizabeth Johnson, and the rest, and a whole lot of other people that either were simply mentioned in passing or that we didn't even have time to utter their name. So theology is a conversation, and it's a conversation not only with our contemporaries, but a conversation with people from other periods of time as well, and a conversation with people from other cultural contexts, not only our own. I want to challenge you to question relativism. It's problematic in many respects. It has its value and benefit, to be certain, but it's problematic in that no one that's an absolute statement, isn't it? Or almost no one can live or does live within or without such parameters. Very often, even the most relativistic person, you find a place where they don't give, and that's pretty clear and obvious. We're not doing ourselves any favors by um, um, trying to delude ourselves that somehow we consider all ideas, all positions to be of equal value and worth. We might value conversation and remain open to hearing and engaging perspectives, but at some point there is analysis and a decision that we make on our own of where we stand on certain questions. That's sometimes risky and edgy stuff, because people have taken that in terrible directions in the past. That is to say, to the extent of destroying the ones with whom they disagree. One need not, relativism is not necessarily the solution to that. Um, in fact, can have its own set of issues. So that was another piece that I would want to challenge you to give some thought to in your future and further theological development. Cultural assumptions. There are so many things. I often say, I don't recall whether I've said it at all this semester in this class, but I often say to students in class, um, describe for me in this moment your eyebrows. And the point of that comment is just simply to say, well, I can't see my eyebrows. Well, they're yours. You're closer to them than anyone. You see them in the mirror every day. But there are some things that are so close to us, that are so much a part of who we are, that they have become impossible. They are impossible, or nearly impossible, to see on our own. And we need reflective engagement. It's like a mirror to look. Reflective engagement. We need the assistance of other persons to see some of the things that may be the closest to us. And some of our cultural assumptions, the assumptions of our own time, are among those, because they simply form the structures of our thinking, and they seem natural and obvious, and often cause us to think in directions that are harder to be interrogated or questioned, analyzed, etc. And so, according to C.S. Lewis, it's one of the good reasons to read old books. Not that everybody in the past had it right. No, they didn't. But simply the contrast of different times and different patterns of thought can often call attention to our own time, our own assumptions, our own patterns of thought. The economic and political assumptions in our own thinking, in our own theological thinking, there is dichotomous thinking that suggests that economics and political life are somehow outside of what faith is, or that those things cannot be analyzed from a perspective of faith. I am convinced that that perspective, that position, comes from a point of privilege, which can afford to tell those who are hungry that their economic and social status is not important to faith. There's a certain kind of distance that one is permitted through privilege and through comfort. That those who are on the margins of society simply do not share. And more to the point, by taking that kind of stance, I protect myself, I make myself immune from faith's interrogation of my life. And if anything, faith is something that challenges who I am and how I am ordering my life. It's not something that is simply a kind of feel-good love fest. While there's plenty of love to go around in faith, there is also the challenge, the prophetic challenge of the gospel. And the prophetic challenge is not simply for our enemies, not simply for the one who embraces a position different than ours, but is also a prophetic challenge for us. And this is Christmas, or just about. And if anything, there is a challenge in the whole narrative of Christmas. And I don't know if any of you follow Facebook. Let me see if I can find this here. I posted something the other day. I did a quote. Okay, I quoted from the Gospel of Luke, part of the whole birth and infancy narratives of Jesus, and then made a comment following. So this is the comment, or starting with the quote. God has pulled the powerful down from their thrones and has lifted up the lowly. God has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty-handed. End quote. Marx? Gutierrez? Some other liberal commie class warrior? No, it's that kick-ass virgin from Nazareth. With a mama who thinks like that, it's no wonder Jesus turned out the way he did. Well, my apologies for being self-indulgent there for a moment, but the story of the Nativity begins with a challenge to power, a challenge to empire, a challenge to those who are high and mighty, and a call for their removal and the lifting up of the humble and the poor. I'm not making this stuff up. It's right there in the gospel narratives. This is the context in which Christmas is set, the birth of Jesus. That's pretty radical stuff. And that is certainly good news, but not always, and not to everyone. That good news is sometimes a challenge to move into a place where news can be made good within our life. So there is that challenge to empire. Maria y Jose, right? Mary and Joseph, a questionable pregnancy, birth into poverty, a rabbi who doesn't quite toe the party line. This is kind of the edginess of faith, and that's what we inherit. It's not easy stuff. It's not safe. It disrupts. It unsettles. As I mentioned in a video at the very beginning of the course, one model for theology is the model of Jacob meeting the messenger of God on the road at night. There is wrestling, there is struggle, there is push and pull, and finally Jacob is given a new name to reflect this, and he walks away from this encounter limping, marked forever by the fact that he's been in a struggle to understand and to know and to receive a blessing. That's part of what theology is. It's exciting, it's good work, and it has the potential of not only changing our own lives, yes, changing our lives, but has the possibility, the potential of shifting the ways in which we think and operate in our world. Always tempered by love, always tempered by grace and forgiveness and a good sense of humor. That's what this faith is all about. So thanks for being with me for a few weeks this semester to explore these questions, questions that have been given ologies and isms at the end of the word to make them sound more intelligent, but questions that are, I'm convinced, in the hearts of people all over the world in all times in one form or another. And I encourage you to continue your study, to continue to cultivate curiosity, and to, as Jesus said, to, with everything you are, love God, heart, soul, mind, and strength, and your neighbor as yourself. You know, if we get that if we get a handle on that, we're doing okay. Blessings to you all, and hope to see some of you in the January intensive.